All meetings are televised live and available on demand by Chelmsford Telemedia at www.chelmsfordtv.org. Public input. Public input shall be limited to statements from the public relating to any issues within the jurisdiction of the Chelmsford Zoning Board of Appeals that are not currently the subject of a pending public hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Public comment on any pending public hearing shall only be heard during such public hearings and shall be limited to 3 minutes' time. Tonight, we have several hearings and obviously a full house, so I'd appreciate everyone's cooperation. I wanted to welcome George Pucci from Copeland and Page. He's our new town attorney. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Evan Belansky will be joining us as well, the Economic Development Coordinator. And we'll dive right in with 4 Meeting House Road, Unit 15, Higgins Wellness, LLC, DBA Body and Mind Therapeutic Massage and Day Spa. They're requesting a special permit under zoning bylaw section 195, attachment 1, to run a massage therapy business at a new location and any other relief deemed necessary. This property is located in the commercial CD zoning district. Assessors parcel ID map 62, block 295, lot 7, consisting of approximately 4.69 acres. Someone here tonight to speak. Sir, if you'd approach the podium, get your name and address, and a little overview.
And this is the narrative he provided.
Hi, I'm Tim Higgins, 148 Corey Street, Lowell, Mass. I'm the owner of Body and Mind Therapeutic Massage and Day Spa. We've been operating in the town of Chelmsford for the past 13 and a half years. Expenses have got to be a little bit too hectic where we're currently located, a little hard to control. So we looked for a new location, and we were lucky to find a place that was suitable for our needs, less than a quarter of a mile from where we currently operate. And we're just looking to get the business permit transferred over to that location.
Okay. Are there any questions of the board tonight? Seeing none,
I'll make a motion to close the public.
I think we need to open it up.
Okay, sorry. What does,
I'm going to open this up for anyone that has comments or concerns in the audience.
sorry.
Seeing none,
Thank you.
I would entertain a motion.
There was one letter.
Gotta do
Here we go. There's a letter submitted.
I have a message from Karen Karlowski of 18 Carter Drive. Dear board members, I learned from the agenda notes that a business is planning to relocate to 4 Meeting House Road, which is excellent news. I see that Higgins Wellness LLC is an operational license set to expire soon in November. May I suggest that a request from the board to have this license renewed before the board grants approval? I believe this can be accomplished in advance of the expiration date. George, maybe you can tell me, do we have purview over, they have a license as of today?
Yes.
So we're just going to proceed.
Okay. Would
In
that
a-
statement have been in reference to my state massage license? The establishment, which has been, it was
An
actually
operational
renewed
license
last, it was
associated
renewed
with-
last Thursday.
Okay,
Okay,
as long as we're live today, I don't think we have any,
And we do have a copy of it, and it's
we do have a copy of
active.
the current, yeah, okay.
And there were no departmental concerns received.
And there were no letters with concern.
Nope.
Okay. Now I'd have a motion to
Well,
close the public hearing.
Chairman, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Peter, in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think someone would like to make a motion in the affirmative.
You got it?
I thought you did.
I can do it. I'll make a motion to approve the special permit for 4 Meeting House Road to move the massage parlor to the new location, and all documents and letters read.
Second?
Oh, second.
Perfect.
All in favor?
Yes.
It's unanimous? Good luck with it.
There you
thank
go.
you very much, I
Enjoy.
appreciate
And
it.
I'll be in touch with you for the paperwork.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Glad you're staying.
I have a continuance I think I'm going to jump ahead to because there's really no sense if people are waiting to speak on it to have that go on. We're going to open the public hearing for 14 Crosby Lane. Ronald D. and Anne Marie Greenwood are requesting a renew an expired, previously approved special permit under Section 195-61 for the construction of addition for a limited accessory apartment, LAA, or any other relief deemed necessary. This property is located in the residential RB district. What we're going to do is open the hearing, take no testimony, and then continue it to next month, is it a wish?
Yes.
Which, I don't know what we got going there.
Which one is this for?
Team Crosby.
Crosby, okay. 14 Crosby.
October 3rd. I get a motion to continue this?
I'll make a motion to
You have to
continue.
open it first?
I think I did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to continue 14 Crosby Lane until October 3rd.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think I'm supposed to do that, I forgot. Getting a little rusty. Okay, so that's continued, and we're gonna go back
For vacation does, Brian.
On vacation.
to 67 Linwood Street. William Flynn is requesting a special permit and/or variance under zoning bylaw section 195-8E2, nonconformity to construct an addition to an existing dwelling that will alter the pre-existing nonconforming structure and any other relief deemed necessary. The proposal extends the maximum allowable percentage of lot coverage by 2%. This property is located in the residential RB district. Someone here tonight to speak?
Good evening. Thanks for having me. It's William Flynn. Been the owner and resident at 67 Linwood Street. We've been there. We bought the house in 1998. Our plan, my wife and I have been there, raised our family there, done a lot of stuff in the community over those times. And we're just eager to stay long-term. And we're hoping to be able to make the house better for us so that we can age in place. And we looked at a bunch of different scenarios, understanding the current aspect of the neighborhood and trying to keep within the setbacks where that becomes an issue. But when we were looking at the different things, we just felt like in order for the house to be able to function the way we're going to need it to, I think that's one of the primary reasons for what we ended up with on the floor plans. But, like I said, both my wife and I are in our, mid-60s, and we're not planning on going anywhere. We love the neighborhood, we love the town, and we're just looking for an opportunity to make the house a little bit better for us. It's a 1930 colonial, so the goal is to, make some significant updates to it. Again, just to, with the rising costs of heating and everything, just to try and make it a little bit better and give us the opportunity to get around the house for one-floor living when that day comes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Is the plot plan up there, if anyone hasn't seen it yet? And obviously, it's a smaller lot, Mr. Flynn, so it's meeting the FAR and the lot coverage is a challenge.
Yeah,
I think that whole neighborhood is a challenge, but a beautiful.
we love it. We love that neighborhood.
Oh, I
We're in the
imagine you
Westlands,
would. It's really a great place.
It's been good to us.
Are there any questions of the applicant from the board? Yeah, Danny.
So the only question I would have is, how did the neighbors to your right feel about this?
On the right side where we're going to be extending
Yeah,
to?
because you're going to be extending it an additional 5 feet toward the house.
Yeah, we've talked with them, and they didn't seem to have any problems with it. We've tried to be communicating and just saying, hey, here's what's going on, here's what we're hoping to accomplish, and they've been great. They've been great. I don't know of any concerns that they've expressed to us. Is that right, honey? Thank
How
you.
much are we allowed?
I think they're 2% over the current, so it's very minimal.
I'm just,
Just one question. On
15
the
to 17,
diagram,
was
just
that what
15, I know it's 2, just,
to the right of the addition,
I know they
on the
changed.
property line, it is a part of a rectangle. Is that a representation of the house next to you on the right?
On the,
There's a little,
Is it a
Oh.
shed?
It's right here?
yes,
That's
Yeah,
the side
that
of
is
the house.
their
That's the other house.
existing, it was I think it was formerly their garage that was converted many years ago into what would appear to be like a den or a living room.
so it is part of their house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the neighbors are right up against the plot line.
They are, yeah. I think that neighborhood, there was a lot of that, right? Because I think you'll see that even on the left side here.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right on it on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our neighbor who lives on the left is here tonight, but, yeah, it's so funny, I don't know how the lot lines were drawn at the time, but,
Or if they redrew the plots after they built the houses.
yeah,
I've seen that.
yeah.
Depends on who owned the land and how they wanted to sell it.
Further questions from the board?
Are there letters
There's
to,
nobody over there.
are there letters to support, or is there?
Yeah, there's
any-
letters.
Okay.
I'll read them in if you guys are done with your questions. I have a letter from Fire Prevention, members of the board, regarding 67 Linwood Street. This office finds the following. The new proposed addition and existing structure must be brought up to the current code for fire alarm placement, type, and power source. The applicant is advised to submit plans to the Fire Prevention Office for review and approval prior to issuance of a building permit. This office would approve this plan with these conditions. I ask that the board make this letter part of their approval process. Sincerely, Josh Abbott, Captain, Fire Prevention Office. I have a letter from the Chelmsford Water District with no concerns. I have a letter from the Board of Health with no concerns. I have a letter from Sheila Joyce, project engineer for the town. 67 Linwood Street, William Flynn, requesting a special permit and/or variance under the zoning bylaw section 195 AD. As a result of this review, the office has the following comments. The proposed addition will be over the existing sewer service. The applicant must contact the DPW Sewer Division for permits to move the sewer service. 2, confirm the number of proposed bedrooms. No increase to the town of Chelmsford sewer infrastructure shall be more than 500 gallons per day. Refers to a septic system. One bedroom generates 110 gallons per day of wastewater flow. Was that saying that they're allowed 440 gallons per day? 4 bedrooms? How many bedrooms are you proposing, sir?
Currently, it's a family room that's on that first floor that could be convertible. There'll be a full bathroom and laundry unit on that piece.
But at this time, is it a bedroom? Are you
No.
applying for? Okay.
No,
So it's staying, the amount of bedrooms are staying the same?
correct.
Okay.
Yep. Which is currently 3 bedrooms at this time, yeah.
Okay. Per Town of Chelmsford sewer regulations, the Sewer Commission established the estimated cost of increasing the treatment facility capacity of the system to be $15 per gallon of daily wastewater flow. But we are not increasing it, that will not apply. 3, erosion control devices must retain sediment on site. These must be installed prior to any work or demolition. 4, consideration should be made to install roof drain dry wells. The property is within the Aquifer Protection Zone 2. If you have any questions, please contact the sewer department. And that is the extent of my letters.
I'll give you copies of those.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. And as I mentioned, my neighbor to the left is here, but in support, if that's
Okay.
helpful.
So we're going to open it up to the audience now. If someone has concerns or wants to speak in favor of the project, now is the time. The neighbor to the left can come up if he'd like.
Pre-1935 setbacks.
And if I could just get your name and address, sir.
Hi, good evening. Steve and Tonti, we're at 69 Linwood, right next door to them, the Flynns. So we'd be in full support of the project.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Easy.
Could I, unless someone else would like to speak, get a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second? Glenn? All in favor? So I think we can take this up right now. Seems to be very little concern.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion in the affirmative for 67,
Lynn,
oh my gosh, I can't read that, Linwood Street in Chelmsford, for the addition, including all letters written.
and just to clarify, it requests a special permit or a variance. We're voting on a special
Special
permit
permit.
with just the 2% of FAR?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
just-
19, it's
They asked for both,
1930.
and I just wanted to
Oh,
be
okay.
clear. So we're granting a special permit.
I'm sorry, yes, special permit,
Thank you.
I'll second.
including all letters.
Second by Peter?
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just had a quick question. Aren't we also talking about the extension of the setback?
I don't think so,
It's-
because it's a pre-existing
It's
non-conforming
19,
lot.
Okay,
yes,
okay, just-
and it's 1932, so.
Yeah, the only concerns are the FAR and the lot area. Okay, the lot coverage, I'm sorry. So we had a motion, we have a second, we can vote, all in favor? Aye, it's unanimous. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thanks very much. Thanks for your help.
We don't get setbacks. It's 30, right?
Yeah, he was voted before that,
Yeah.
but that's, it doesn't apply if you have a pre-existing non-conformity already.
Well, this one talks about, this only applies if they're conforming front backs.
All right, the next hearing is Morose Avenue, Cobblestone 5 LLC is requesting a comprehensive permit, 40B, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40B. The project proposes to construct 5 rental units, 4 of which will be in duplexes and 1 will be in a single structure. This property is located in the residential RA district.
Presentation?
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's been a
Hi,
while.
Mr.
We
Chair.
may be a little rusty.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, did you open the public hearing? I'm sorry, I was out in the hall.
Yes, the public
Okay.
hearing is open. Oh, I'm
good-
sorry, I didn't realize that, okay.
That's okay. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Melissa Robbins. I'm here tonight for Cobblestone Place, also land off of Morose Avenue. I'm here tonight with my project team, Katie Enright from Howard Stein Hudson, and also Casey Ferreira from Howard Stein Hudson, and also with me Larry Gagnon, who's the project applicant. We're here tonight for a comprehensive permit in conformance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40B. The proposal is for 5 units of rental housing, and this is the picture up on the plan here. So as you can see, we have 2 duplex units and 1 single unit. So the first question you may be asking is, why do we have 5 and not 4? Usually with comprehensive permits, you see 25% affordable. Here, we're doing 20% affordable. The reason for that is because if you do 20% affordable, the unit becomes rentable to families at 50% of the area median income. That's truly affordable. That's been within the intent of the Chelmsford zoning bylaws. It's in conformance with your CEIOD, your BAOD, your policies set forth by choice, and the Chelmsford Housing Authority. So when we were looking on moving forward with this project, we decided we would go with a project that was truly affordable and have 1 affordable unit that was at 50% of the area median income. The other 4 units will be rented at market price. The good news for the town of Chelmsford is that because it's a rental project, all 5 units will be counted on your subsidized housing inventory. So even though 1 is affordable, all 5 get counted. All of these units will be 3 bedrooms. As you know, mass housing does not allow the affordable unit to look any different from the outside. So even if you went into this little development, you wouldn't be able to tell which unit the affordable is. I will tell you that mass housing will not allow that single-family unit to be the affordable unit, so it will be one of the duplexes. Since it's a character all on its own, it would not be allowed to be the affordable unit. What I would like to do, Mr. Chair, is turn over to Katie, just to give you an overview of the site, and then just go into a couple legal discussions before I turn over to the board, if that's okay.
Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. Katie Enright with Howard Stein Hudson. As Melissa stated, The project is 5 units, and it's just over an acre of land at 45,000 and change square feet. So the proposal is to essentially situate those houses where you can see the land opens up onto itself. On the south side, we have the highway, so that's Route 3, and it actually goes uphill, and then there's a large barrier at the top of that hillside, right at the bottom of the page. And then we're surrounded on all 3 sides by single-family residential housing. And that's the neighborhood of Edgelawn and Morose that comes off of Richardson. I'm just going to draw a blank. I'm like, I drive it all the time. Richardson Road. So essentially what we're doing is putting in a driveway that will go back to those 5 houses. What we're looking at is not creating an overabundance of pavement. So we've met with the fire department and talked a little bit about reducing the impervious as much as possible. So we come in there with a 20-foot driveway, essentially, which provides fire access. So it essentially, it's a little bit bigger than a normal driveway, but smaller than a road. You would come in, and as soon as the parking starts, we would open up to 24 feet, and that's where the parking is situated off of either side of that road. These units have not been created with garages, so they all have exterior parking. There's 2 spaces per unit, and then plus 1 per 3. So the requirement here is 12 spaces, and we have 14 spaces. The project was also designed with a turnaround, so at the end of the road, you'll see there's a striped paved area, and that's for the fire truck to turn around. Because this road is longer than 150 feet long, we did have to provide a turnaround and access to all units. So we met with the fire department again with a couple different configurations for where that turnaround would be. And we decided, or the best location for the fire department was to put it all the way at the end. So there's a hammerhead at the end of this road, and that's for fire truck turnaround at the end of the road. The project itself, we're proposing to connect to sewer. I know some of the letters said otherwise, but Melissa will speak to that waiver after I've spoken through. So there's no septic system proposed on the lot, but there is significant stormwater provided on the lot. And what we did was, because we're surrounded by neighbors on all sides and also Route 3, which is uphill from us, we essentially kept all of our stormwater contained within the site. So we contained everything up to the 100-year storm event from all of the new impervious within the site itself. The only runoff from this site, outside of the site, is some of the grading and landscape areas around the edge of the site. So we looked at this and kind of went over and above, and to do that, we did an underground infiltration system. And that's backed by that T turnaround at the end of the site. That was designed based on some soil testing that we did on site. The soil testing showed that we have water at about 9 feet, and it's all beautiful sand. So the infiltration rates were very good. So you'll see when you look through our plan set, what we're doing is providing some grading around the exterior of the site, and then also this underground system to make sure that we're not shedding water onto any of the neighbors. What we also did was look at each individual lot. So we looked at property lines, essentially, that touch this lot around all sides to make sure not only that we weren't increasing the flow off-site in the post-development, but that we weren't increasing the flow to a specific property in the post-development. Besides that, we're also looking to bring in water from Morose. There is lighting that's been proposed. You can see that on our lighting sheet. We have a full photometric plan. And we also have a full landscaping plan. And with the landscaping, what we tried to do was really look at those neighboring properties and provide an evergreen shield or an evergreen wall at each of those locations. On the edge coming in from Morose, and then as you go north and then east again, that's all a stockade fence, but we've supplemented that with additional plantings, and then there's an additional screen of evergreens to the back of the site, which you can see on this rendering. What we've also done is looked at the residential A dimensional requirements and make sure we're not putting the buildings with any of the front, side, or rear setbacks that are required for a residential A district. So these units are all placed further away than that which a building would be allowed in the residential A district, which is a 40-foot front setback, 25 side, and 30 feet rear. We are also looking to basically match and think about, we also very much thought about the density of the neighborhood and kind of how the neighborhood was laid out. This is a residential A zoning district, which is your largest single-family house zoning district, but these lots in the area of Edgelawn and Morose that create this neighborhood are all around 0.28, 0.38 acres each. So it's significantly lower than that's what's required by the zoning bylaw. And also, as far as the FAR is concerned, we are seeking a waiver for the FAR. The FAR is required to be 0.15. We're at 0.23, which is slightly over and above. Although the footprints of even the duplex units in this area, each side is only 688 square feet footprint. So we're counting the basement, the first floor, and the second floor level of each of these houses to come up with the amount of square footage per each unit, but you can see that the footprint, even the duplex, is only 1,376 square feet, which is very much consistent with the neighborhood as far as the size of the buildings that are within the neighborhood and the size of the project itself. Also, we did look at the neighborhood in general as far as the floor area ratio is concerned also, and looked at some of the different floor area ratios that exist out there, and quite a few of them are above that 0.15 also. These are two-story homes. There are a few two-story homes in the neighborhood. A significant amount of the homes in the neighborhood are one-story ranch-style homes. Some of them have started to put on additions with garages with a second level, and there are a few second-level houses in the neighborhood too. So I wanted to make sure when we looked at this that we were also being consistent with the neighborhood. And I believe, Evan, you have on the second sheet is just a brief rendering of what the duplex-style home would look like. So essentially, very efficient, not larger than really a two-story single-family home for the town of Chelmsford, except for the fact that it has 2 front doors and 2 patios in the back. Besides that, I'm going to pretty much cut it short at that. We have a significant amount of information on these plans and within this report. Certainly, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have relative to the site in of itself, and I'll turn it back to Melissa to talk about waivers.
Okay.
I'll keep it brief, Mr. Chair. There is a list of exceptions in your comprehensive permit application. I am not going to go through those tonight. There's many reasons for that, one of which is that I've already reviewed your engineering comments, which I see that there is some waivers I already need to update. So what I would like to do is wait to hear tonight's comments, wait to respond to some of the comments that I've already received from town boards and departments, and then update the waiver list. I'll make sure we submit it to the board and town councils as they can review the updated waiver list prior to the next meeting. The other thing that we need to discuss tonight is whether or not this board is going to send this project out for third-party review. Likely, if it goes out for third-party review, they'll also have some comments that may also increase some waivers. So generally speaking, I don't go through the waivers at the first meeting. I wait to make sure that the project is set in the corners and then go through the waivers. So I'll defer to the chair and the board, but I would suggest waiting to go through the waivers to a later date.
It'll be a sewer waiver as well?
There'll be a sewer waiver as well, and I'm sorry that was unclear. I think what happened is that as part of our preliminary application to Mass Housing, we actually were showing a septic design there, and we had designed a full septic system. And then going through the process with Mass Housing, we had decided instead we were going to go to a sewer connection instead. So you'll see in the narrative, and as part of the project design, we do have a sewer connection. So in our responses as well to your town department heads and to the Sewer Commission and the Water Commission, we'll make it very clear what our connections are and what waivers we're seeking there.
Excellent.
That is one of the waivers I actually have to ask for. Is that there's 3 sets of three sets of sewer regs and a moratorium that I have to ask for a waiver from, so that will be supplemented.
Okay.
So with that, what I'd like to do is turn over to the board and the abutters to hear some initial comments and really just understand what the board's going to be looking for third-party review and what general questions we can answer for the board and the abutters this evening.
Okay. I think we do need to discuss the third-party review. It's been a while since we did a 40B. It's not an enormous project. I think that the idea of going out for review wouldn't be too problematic. I think they were very clear about what was going in, so I don't know whether we have specific questions as to what we have there. We can talk about that. And maybe I'll read the letters in before the board talks about a third-party review. I don't know if anyone has thoughts on it already, so. Do we have letters?
The letters were all attached to the agenda. If you want to read them, I can pull them up. If you'd like to read them off, they're right here.
These are the, yeah, I thought I'd,
Those I
read
did
the letters
attach
from-
to the agenda.
not the other one, just, yeah, just the, okay.
We didn't receive any written comment
No written comments,
from
okay.
the public.
So from Sheila Joyce, project engineer, regarding the 40B comprehensive permit at Morose Avenue. She really does have a lot of housekeeping here, but not too many specific outlines, so we will let that go. Quite a few. So again, I mean, all of these are questions that Melissa already has. Nothing that really would, I think, change any thoughts here. 3-to-1 slope stabilization, things that I'm sure Melissa will work out. Stormwater. The Chelmsford, North Chelmsford Water District, to whom may concern. The North Chelmsford Water District, NCWD, hereby requests clarification regarding the proposed septage. I'm not sure that's correct. Connection treatment methodology, but they are going to sewer, so we'll probably have answered that question for them. If the proposed units will not discharge town sewer, again, this looks like these are already a little dated. Current proposal plans for units 1, 2, and 3 show water service connections to the buildings which are not permitted. All units must have their water service lines directly served by the water main, tapped off the fire hydrant service line. All units must have curb boxes for their water service and the sidewalk directly in front of those units. So again, it sounds like you're gonna go from 3 to 5, and I'm sure Melissa and Katie will look at that. Additionally, the NCWD notes that all fees pertaining to water service connection shall be due to the NCWD at the time of connection, not at the time of water service turn-on. Paul Pyers, Superintendent, 8/7/24. The Fire Prevention Office. Dear members of the board, with regard to the proposed project off Morose Ave, Cobblestone Place, the Fire Prevention Office finds the following. The fire department access is adequate. The current water supply flow test must be conducted and submitted to the Fire Prevention Office for review. Fire lanes must be marked and maintained. No snow storage shall be allowed in fire lanes. Each resident must be equipped with smoke carbon monoxide detectors that meet the current edition of the Massachusetts State Building Code 780 CMR. E911 requests for house numbers must be submitted to the Chelmsford E911 Committee. All other registrations and codes of applicable NFPA standards, State Building Code 780 CMR, Mass Fire Code 527 CMR, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 148, and the Town of Chelmsford bylaws must be conformed to. This office would approve of this plan with these conditions, and I ask the board to make this letter part of their approval process. Josh Abbott, Captain, Fire Prevention Office. This is from Jose Negron, the Building Commissioner. Dear Cobblestone personnel, should the above subjected 40B development be approved, the applicant needs to apply and submit proper documentation prior to the issuance of a construction permit, such as a certified plot plan, construction plans, the most current building code additions. The applicant will be required to comply with the most current energy code, specialized opt-in code, as adopted by the town of Chelmsford. Thank you for your time, effort, and consideration of this matter. Respectfully, Jose Negron, Building Commissioner. And as a direction to the Board of Appeals. Those are the letters at this time. I think I'll open this up to public comment, and limit your comments to ones that have not been made. That would be very helpful. I'm assuming a bit of the crowd is here for this. I honestly don't know. So if you'd like to come up, state your name and address and concerns, opposition, support.
Good evening, members of the board. Douglas Hausler from Lampert, Hausler, and Rodman. I represent Dennis and Kate Trahan. who are abutters at 8 Edgelawn. And if you could put the picture back up of the layout of the proposed houses. Go back one. So their house is.
8 Edgelawn was their address?
Yes, so they're the ones, if I can approach here,
Yes.
they're right here. So they're very much affected by this. So they have a few concerns, some which may get clarified during the process. But the first concern, because I'm somewhat at a loss, is I don't know how this board can make a determination about the sewer connection. Granted, it's a 40B, but my understanding is the Board of Health has exclusive jurisdiction over those kinds of issues. So before this board goes much further, I think that this should be sent to the Board of Health for comments to find out, A, if there's ever going to be a waiver from them to allowing them somehow to be exempt from the moratorium. I'm not aware of any project in the last few years where there's been an exemption made for the moratorium. You either build septic systems or you build a sewer plant, private septic system plant for a large number of units. I'm not aware that anybody has the authority to grant a waiver on that moratorium. That would be a first. So that needs really to be clarified first and foremost.
Okay, I just want to make sure, Becky, did we not receive a letter from
We
them?
actually did.
Oh.
Winnie Pucci has the letter.
I didn't hear that.
Just got that, yeah.
We just received this one. I did attach it to the agenda.
Okay,
But that
I'm sorry,
wasn't-
yeah, we have a list here that we
Apologies.
didn't use. And it's addressed to the planning board. This letter is regarding the proposed 40B Cobblestone Place development, Morose Ave, lot 25, 5930, which consists of 5 three-bedroom housing units contained in 2 townhouse-style buildings and 1 single-family detached unit. This proposed project in the town water resources, High Aquifer Protection Zone 2, and the State Water Resource Protection Zone 2 wellhead protection area. Therefore, the project will require approval from the Board of Health pursuant to the Town of Chelmsford General Provisions, Chapter 201. Upon approval from the Board of Health, on-site septic system must meet Title V regulations pursuant to the 310 CMR 15 septic systems, along with completing the Health Department's proposal system construction, permit application, and inspection process. If this project plans to have a dumpster on site, then it must meet the Town of Chelmsford General Provisions 201, Board of Health, Article 5, Commercial Refuge Dumpster Collection, Licensing and Operation. Respectfully, Donna Greenwood, Public Health Director, Chelmsford Board of Health. So we did have a letter from them, which may clarify a little. It appears that Donna is under the assumption that they're attempting to put in a septic system, which we certainly have a talk with her and see that we're gonna, I believe the attempt is gonna be for sewer. Maybe George could fill us in on what your thoughts are on getting a waiver for sewer. I personally was under the impression that you were allowed to do that, to grant a waiver for a 40B, but I'll
Right.
defer.
Again, George Pucci, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm George Pucci from KP Law. We're the law firm formerly known as Copeland and Page, now we're KP Law.
KP Law? Make note of that. I
That's
remember when
fine,
they were
yeah.
Copeland
There's always,
and Remember
So
Leonard
first of all,
Mao?
it's good to be with you tonight. It's a very pretty town. Just by way of brief background, I have been practicing law for 800 years. Over the last 10, 12 years, my practice has pretty much been focused on 40B matters. So, and I just wanted to comment generally, I think you're handling it perfectly. You know, you want that initial presentation from the applicant, initial questions from the board members. You're already ahead of the game because you've gathered all the departmental heads' comments for the first night, which is really great. Sometimes they trickle in as your process goes through. So just to clarify, you are standing in the shoes of any local board or committee with regard to local regulations. So if you have say you have a stormwater management bylaw, more restrictive than the state provisions, you are standing in the shoes of that, whatever permitting entity would have jurisdiction over that. Say you have a conservation commission, you have a wetlands, say there's wetlands here, doesn't look like there are, but if you had a wetlands issue, your local conservation commission would have jurisdiction on the state part of the application,
But not the
you would
zoning
stand in their
requirements
shoes
or the
under the
town-
local bylaw.
The town bylaw.
And kind of the same thing as it carries over. And so not to answer your question about the Board of Health letter specifically, but I had a question because I went through these comments before I came. It looks like it's not so much going on old information as much as, I can't tell if your department head look like town engineering, if they're recommending against the sewer connection. And I understand you have a local bylaw provision over it. Or are they saying, you can't connect to sewer, so here's what I would require for a private septic? So if you're going forward with Board of Health, you're gonna have an on-site septic. Board of Health is gonna have jurisdiction under Title V for that. But if you have more restrictive local regulations, they're gonna have to provide comment to you, and then you impose those conditions on the permit, so that, you cover it one way or another. I can't tell from the comments yet, and they may not know themselves, because it
it's
looks
in
like the
process,
comments
yeah.
kind of came in independently. And I'm not sure what the department heads are saying. Are they saying, we recommend a sewer connection, and therefore you'd have to grant waivers connected to that? Or are they saying, we are recommending an on-site septic for these specific reasons? All of this depends on how this process comes out, what the information that you get in terms of local concerns. So if you end up having compelling evidence that really the only safe, viable environmental option is a town sewer connection, then you would have to consider whether or not to grant the
Granting that.
required waiver under the local provisions for that. If it ends up that they can do a private septic and you have department heads backing that up, recommending that, and then maybe you even have peer review saying, no, they can do that, then that's another story. That would give you reason to maybe not grant the waiver for the sewer connection. But you're gonna have to have that, dialogue as this
Conversation.
goes on. And really, you need to clarify kind of upfront, what is the town engineer really saying? Are they saying it in
Well,
the
as the water
contingent?
district, I'm assuming, is we're in an aquifer.
Same as water district,
Yeah.
because they're saying, water district, according to what they're saying to you now is, they're concerned about on-site septic. So it seems like they're implying that. you'd rather
Sewer
have
would be a
sewer connection.
better option from
Yeah.
their opinion.
So you're really gonna have to, to me, too, I don't want to short circuit or minimize any abutter concerns, but it looked like that was really your big ticket items on it. You have the water protection district, you have these issues about the town sewer connection versus an on-site septic. So you have to see how that comes out.
The
But you-
conversation can be had with both and get some
Yeah,
more input.
and you might want, once you clarify with the applicant, once you clarify with the department heads, may want peer review comment on that issue.
All right, so we'll pursue that. From, I think what Melissa said, the attempt was going to be for a waiver for the sewer tie-in. That's a direction they would like to go.
Yeah, and when you come up with waivers, and I agree with the applicant's attorney, typically, you don't want to wait too long in your process because you only have 6 months to act on this.
Correct.
So you do want to have that waiver discussion, not at the
Sooner than
last
later.
night of the public hearing, but it definitely makes sense to vet the project a little bit before they kind of revise their waiver list, and then you have a discussion about the need for waivers. Some of them go off the table.
Yeah, as time goes
Some of
on,
them
yeah.
get clarified. And then the applicant really, in the end, if they're seeking a waiver of a local bylaw provision, they have to make the case to you that it's adequately
Justifiable.
protective of local concerns.
Is the water more
Yeah.
critical than
And,
the-
sometimes people are under the impression, you have to, your hands are tied under 40, they're not. You have to look at this like you would a lot of projects. You're looking at health, safety, and environmental issues, open space issues, things of that nature. And then how it shakes out, you go by what the evidence shows, and then you act
what
in a
happens when
meaningful
you-
manner. Yeah.
You look at all the angles.
Sorry, Glenn is here now.
Yeah, Len's-
That's fine.
Excuse me, Doug, I just want to get a clarification from two people about the same topic. Evan, the town has had this moratorium on sewer capacity for some time now. there has been no waivers for any project. Any project that was brought before this issue was brought up, even though the project was done after the issue was discovered, they were granted sewer capacity. Am I correct on that, for the most part?
So it's no longer a moratorium, it's a regulation. And the regulation, as indicated in the DPW memo, says that no project can create more than 500 gallons per day. There's a second part of that regulation that says 100% residential projects cannot connect to the municipal wastewater system.
And we have had projects go forward where they have put in a septic system.
Residential, multifamily, no. No, the regulation, the DPW regulation, as it pertains to multifamily and the Board of Health regulation are fairly new.
So no one's brought forward a project since that
Not
enactment?
for multifamily.
Okay. And I have a question of Katie Enright. If you could put the picture up again of the project? The layout. It doesn't seem that, especially for the 2 units on the bottom, a lot of room to put in a septic system.
We actually fully designed one here.
For all
All
the
5 units would go to one.
to go to one. Okay. You know, we received a lot of documentation on this project, and I commend the team for putting it all together. It was very comprehensive. In 2 places in it, it referred to an 8-inch sewer line near the property. And this whole issue about the sewer just leaped off the page as a big no-no for the town. That there is no plan, as far as I know of the town, going forward to remedy our sewer capacity.
But there is sewer being sold to all non-residential projects currently. There is capacity available if you pay a fee to tie in anything besides residential currently.
To tie in anything but residential.
Right.
Residential can't pay to do it?
The town does not allow residential to pay to do it. The town only allows other projects to pay to tie into sewer.
So how do you propose getting the town to agree to this?
Well, the idea is that there is sewer available,
But that you just said the town is not allowing it for residential.
but they are allowing it for everybody else.
Oh, so you're gonna,
There is not, well, no, so this is an affordable housing project. We're seeking a waiver. We would be happy to build a septic system here if that's what the town so desires and the neighbors so desire. We figured because we were in an APD, because sewer is available in Morose, that we should attempt to tie into the sewer, as thinking it was more appropriate for the neighborhood. If the neighborhood feels that it would be better to put everything into a septic system, we 100% can accommodate that on site.
but the question is, from the town standpoint, if we have some capacity, some small capacity, why should we give it to you?
As council indicated, that conversation hasn't happened yet. It may take place as part of this process. But you don't have any recommendation from any town official. DPW's memo is essentially regurgitating their regulation. They did not give a recommendation.
So are we being asked to be the court
At the end of the day,
decision?
you're going to be the decision maker on this, unless it can be resolved mutually as part of this process.
And when it comes to you, you're gonna have to make a case on compelling evidence, so that the waiver will be within your jurisdiction.
Or-
Doesn't mean you have to grant it, but it'll be within your jurisdiction to decide it one way or another.
And just to Mr. Diggs' point, if I may just interject quickly, that's why I wanted to wait to discuss the waivers until later, because this could come on the table and off the table if the discussion proceeds that a septic system would be a better alternative once it goes through third-party review and we hear comments instead of the sewer connection. So that's why I wanted to table the discussion on that until we get some more comments back. Sorry, Doug.
Thank you, Jim.
I know it got a little diverse, but did it offer you some clarity, Doug, hopefully?
In part, yes, I appreciate town council's comments and agree with the vast majority of them. Whether I might potentially disagree, and again, I think it needs to be clarified by the Board of Health primarily. I am not sure that the Board of Health shares the view that its regulations and policies can be overridden under the state chapter, under the state regs that they have to follow for Title V.
Can't, yeah.
They can't, is my understanding. And number two is
Local bylaw and local
only the local.
regulation.
But as for the capacity, it's a blanket policy and reg, no residential is being added to the system. Because if you grant it here for this, I could think of Charles Way with 7 lots that wanted, purely residential, that wanted to get tied into sewer and being denied. And I could probably think of every other application, Hildreth Street and others, that are pending before the board that are all residential and have absolutely, don't even have the audacity to ask for a waiver. So I don't understand the whole concept, but I think the Board of Health, this board should defer until the Board of Health makes a determination first and foremost. Is it going to be septic or is it going to somehow be tied into sewer? I think I know the answer to that, but I think that this board shouldn't go much further until that's clarified. That's point one.
100%.
Point two.
Point taken.
Second point is my clients have some concerns of privacy given the location of their house and that they are now going to be having a 2-story home basically right in their backyard. It's not the actual location of this proposed unit that's the issue, it's the height. So what will happen is, I understand it from the client, is that somebody who's living on the second floor of the new unit is going to be looking straight into their house. My suggestion, and I understand the comment made by Melissa, is there's no way that the single unit can become an affordable unit. Nothing's absolute in life, and these regulations are open to some interpretation. It may be appropriate to ask the applicant to take that particular unit and make it a single-story, handicap-accessible unit that's maybe longer like a cape than a 2-story property. It certainly would help somebody with needs of, disabilities, and it would solve the privacy issue. It's something we would like to discuss with the applicant and see if there is a way that we can address that so not to be violative of the 40B regs, that you don't have any kind of affordable unit stand out on its own, that it's automatically, that's the unit. I think there's ways to deal with that architecturally in other ways. But again, it's just a point to raise for privacy reasons. Third point, my clients have some concern, and actually I do as well. I noticed, I read through the, I think it was a phase 1 result tests that were done. It mentions that they didn't find anything. It's remarkable that it didn't find any kind of PFAS. Every other location has found PFAS on the site because it's in the drinking water. And there's not even a mention, to my knowledge, of the PFAS anywhere. If I'm wrong, I would welcome to be corrected. Does it? No. So it's absolutely amazing that PFAS doesn't exist on this particular piece of land, but it appears on every other piece of land in Chelmsford, because if you drink water from Chelmsford, it has it, because none of the water districts have yet instituted a remedial building or processing plant to address it. It's in process in the center district, I know. I'm not sure about North Chelmsford. It may be ahead of the curve or behind the curve, I don't know. But I do know it's not even addressed here. So therefore, where that ties in goes back to the first point. If this is going to be a septic system approach, and there is PFAS on the property, which I believe there is, that needs to be carefully analyzed.
When you say a second system, you're referring to the septic?
Yes, if they even do with a septic, they have to be careful with it, because technically, if there's a problem with the septic, it can affect your disturbing soils. You'll have PFAS going all over the place. It hasn't been tested. And the minimum requirements, and I've learned this the hard way on the Hildreth Street project, is the measuring tool is 20 parts per billion. It's incredibly detailed. So I do think that the board needs to request some further environmental phase one testing, particularly on that issue. I think I would leave it that we'd like to see some additional screening as well towards my client's property. I noticed that there's quite a bit of larger screening in one area but not the other. That, again, we're happy to talk to the applicant about. And until the project gets a little bit more further defined, I'm just going to reserve the right to come back and talk to you about it. But I want to hit the highlights, I think, tonight.
Right, I would assume that they'd be willing to increase the screening if you felt it necessary. I
would
can
hope
see
so.
the change in width there. Obviously, it's not three-dimensional, but one would assume the smaller bushes are smaller in height as well, but.
I'd assume it, but again, it's something we can have a discussion about. But I do ask the board to actually even defer continuing this for the next meeting until the Board of Health has made its determinations and provided this board with proper guidance as to what has to be done from their viewpoint, because otherwise we're all wasting our time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Someone else would like to speak in favor or opposition to this?
How you doing? My name is Paul Pires. I am the superintendent at the North Chelmsford Water District. I know our name's been getting tossed around a little bit here, so maybe we can clarify a few things. The district is obligated to protect, I got a little thing I put together. I didn't want to wing it. I want to make sure I hit all the things properly. The district has an obligation to protect the integrity and the safety of the public water supply, as well as the water supply to our residents. Our customers rely on us and trust us to protect their health and well-being by providing safe drinking water. Both Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, Mass DEP, and the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, mandate that we comply with these regulations. As with any proposed project, I am obligated to investigate any potential or actual source of contamination which may or will be introduced into the public water supply. Because this parcel is so close to the district's well fields, it is even more crucial that I seek clarification on a number of issues. Now, the first issue that I did have is clarification on the sewer system, as we all been speaking about. On page 5, the applicant states that it will be served by a private septic system of the mass housing application. On page 7, the applicant states that the public sewer system is in the road, but has no capacity for residential development. And however, on page 10 of the comprehensive permit narrative, the applicant states that the project proposes to connect the 5 units via a 6-inch gravity line with grinder pumps. I think that's going back and forth a little bit, and we will be waiting for that answer as well, and I'm not going to go any further into the sewer system right now. The applicant also, on page 22, states that the project protects water resource areas. I'm not exactly sure how this protects water resource areas, what studies have been done, and how was this verified. Under the list of requested exemptions, under their Exhibit N, the applicant requests waivers of both Article 3, Use Regulations, Section 195-5A, and Article 4, Dimensional Regulations, Section 195-12. These bylaws, in this case, prohibit more than one principal structure from being built on this lot. I think we've discussed that a little bit. As stated on page 4, the comprehensive permanent narrative, the site is located within a mapped Mass DEP wellhead protection zone 2, as well as the local coinciding aquifer protection district.
What is the distance to Zone 2 from the wellhead, do you know? What is that required, what is the circle?
I believe the lot itself is about just shy of 1,000 feet from the closest well. Article 14, Aquifer Protection District, Section 195-72 states that uses that are prohibited in the underlying zoning district shall not be permitted in the Aquifer Protection District. This means that the waiver of Article 3 and 4 would be inappropriate, considering that these parcels are in the Aquifer Protection area. requesting a waiver of the Aquifer Protection District bylaws seems contradictory to the applicant's comment on protecting water resource areas as stated on their application on page 22, and furthers the district concern pertaining to the protection of the public water supply. Furthermore, the applicant is requesting a waiver of Article 7, Groundwater Protection Zone, Sections 201-26 through 29. There is a lot of stuff in that one article. This article requires the applicant to receive a review from the local water authority, which would be us, and submit the review to the Board of Health. Given the reasons I already stated, the district firmly objects to this waiver as this is yet another attempt to circumvent the protection set in place to protect the public water supply. To summarize, this project appears lack of any concern for the integrity of the public water supply. The district is left to wonder why the application is requesting numerous waivers which ultimately impact public health and safety. This board agrees to these waivers and allows the project to move forward. The North Chelmsford Water District will request a hydrogeologic study to be conducted on the parcel pursuant to the North Chelmsford Water District's groundwater protection ordinance by authority of the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. This study and its findings will serve as one of the conditions to the service connections to the public water system. In order to fulfill my obligation and protect the public water supply, I will also be seeking further guidance from Mass DEP and the EPA. I just wanted to clarify in something that was said just previously. PFAS is a huge issue. It is not 20 parts per billion. It's actually 20 parts as of right now per trillion. And that is subject for that is actually just for a small more time that we have coming up. That is being moved to 4 parts per trillion. We're talking about 1 drop of water in an 4 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So that is a very high measuring.
Decrease that when you.
It's being decreased. And that is, it's been approved by the EPA, and that is coming down very shortly with the Mass DEP. I'm not saying I'm against 40B. I have nothing against it. But when it affects the public health and the integrity of the public water supply, then I do have serious concerns with it. And those are the comments that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that was quite a bit more than the comment that I read. Do you want to request it be submitted? Is that possible?
If you're comfortable submitting your documents, we can make them part of the record.
I will send it to
Becky.
Becky.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm wondering, Melissa, if you want to speak to these at this point, or we can continue. I don't know. There's a lot of information there, so I don't know if you just want to speak to what we've heard, and then we can continue, or you want to get it all in one?
No, sure, Mr. Chair. I mean, if there's other abutter comments, we'd certainly like to hear them this evening. In accordance with your town council just said, I think that it's important that we have those comments in writing so that we can be responsive. I know we asked for waivers from sections, but we can certainly be more specific as to what we actually need. A lot of them is because we are a multifamily affordable project and not a single-family home coming into this district, which is generally what's allowed. So we'd be happy to clarify that and sit with water prior to the next meeting to make sure we deal with their issues and concerns.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my recommendation at this point would be to sit with water and the Board of Health and get a game plan together that seems to keep everybody as understanding as possible. Maybe not in agreement, but
Sure. Yeah, and some of that largely might be resolved by if this board's going to send some of those issues out for third-party review, not to belabor this topic. But I know that your own engineering department did make some comments, but if there is some specific things that the board would like to go for third-party review, for example, sewer connection or alternative designs or anything like that, perhaps we could get, if the board wanted to allow Evan, I think we already have a amount set there for 53G to at least hire a third-party consultant to look at these issues. We can get moving on those. And of course, I'll defer to town council how you go about that, but that's generally the procedure. That way we can get some third-party comments
as
and
quickly
address
as
them.
possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
My thoughts on this is, I think it's premature to determine what needs to be peer reviewed. My thought is, at a minimum, the appropriate departments need to convene. That can be an internal conversation. It could be with several board members and council, and the applicant, or it could be, smaller. But this notion about, what town department is going to ultimately make a definitive recommendation or a definitive statement to this board, that's a little gray for me at this point. And I think there's still some confusion as to how those regulations interplay with one another. Once that meeting takes place, I think we may have a better idea, which may assist in determining what needs to be peer reviewed, if anything. But at this point, it's just not clear to me, because there's no singular department, and correct me if I'm wrong, counsel, there isn't enough definitive information that the board's reviewed to make a determination as to what is the threats to public safety.
No, sure. I mean, to Evan's point, if the board's not going to send this, and sometimes boards say, we don't care that we have a town engineer, we don't care who we have in-house, we're sending this entire thing out to a third-party engineer, Beals and Thomas, to review this entire thing for civil. I hear from the board that's not what's going to happen right now, what you'd like us to do. And similarly, in other projects in the past, we've had technical review meetings with department heads to go through these issues so that we can try to parse out what the issues are and then come back to the board to say, these are things we agree upon, these are things we don't agree upon, and then the board can decide what they want to review or not. So with Evan's support prior to the next meeting, we can certainly have those meetings and get the board some answers or some directions from those boards and committees, and certainly meet with water as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure we would be super beneficial if we're to charge you and Evan with having those meetings, the water department, the Board of Health. Go ahead, Glenn.
Based on the number of people in the audience, I would feel uncomfortable if those meetings were held in private, more or less. They should be held in public.
I think we could request that those be public. We
Sure.
could certainly have a venue that would support it.
So this is why I suggested maybe the board consider appointing several members.
To make it a public,
I mean,
open.
whether it's open to the public or not, I don't think is really,
televised.
if you're going to ask department heads to come to this meeting, that's something entirely different. If we all agree that we're going to have an offline meeting, certainly we can open that to the public. But from my experience, the key is that the board needs to be part of that, because it's difficult if we meet for an hour with department heads and then we summarize a meeting back here. It's much better if several board members are at that meeting who can then hear it for themselves, ask questions on behalf of the full board.
Sometimes the summarization doesn't reflect the real story, the feelings that are behind the summary. I do understand getting people to come to the special meeting is not easy. They have their own agendas and whatever. But somehow, a general meeting could be called, sometime can be found, that everyone can meet and the public be given
And that would
ample
be here.
notice.
That would be here. No point reinventing the wheel. That's what this meeting serves.
They would have to participate.
Well, that remains to be seen, to what extent department heads, including the water district, want to have that level of detailed conversation.
Well, I think it starts with feeling them out.
Yeah, I can do that. Again, there's not,
Anyone on the board like to attend these meetings? I mean, I think they were, at this
Well,
point,
we're
at two.
talking about everyone sitting in right now. Evan's going to feel out other boards to see if they'll send someone here.
the town department head,
Right.
departments.
Boards being the
The water
planning
board,
board or the
the Board of Health.
DPW, Board of Health, and the
Board of
Water
Health?
District.
Okay. Yeah,
Can I-
I
can
mean,
I
we
just
can do this.
interject?
Is anyone willing to sit for these meetings?
I just wanted to interject, respectfully, I don't do it that way. If you have a
It's new to
meeting-
us, I can assure you.
Yeah,
I've
if
never
you
done
have,
one.
if you have a meeting, there's more than one ZBA member, to me, that's a subcommittee. It's a public hearing, basically.
And
Needs
more
to be
than-
noticed.
More than two is.
All
is,
the rest,
a
right.
Bit of a problem there, too.
And, if you want to be as
Transparent.
as possible and have everything in the public hearing, maybe you want to think about a different way of doing it. Maybe the applicant can respond to the department comments as they exist now and kind of clarify what exactly they're seeking. Then you could get further comment from the department heads. Because right now, as I indicated at the beginning, and as Evan just said, it's contradictory, the comments. It's sort of,
Right, there's
both-
a lot of
they're
what if.
considering both. So,
If I may.
it's-
I mean, we didn't, this is the first, obviously, we're hearing from the water, so we need a official submission, right? So we can get that detailed analysis and give them an opportunity to respond. I think their intent here is not to walk away with a decision, but to walk away with a better understanding of the community's view, right?
That's correct.
And be able to walk back and address those issues and concerns. So at this point, and then we can determine, get a final official determination based on exact projected plan, and then we can come back, and then once we know what they're going to do, and once we know the official standpoint from the department, because we haven't really gotten one on the water sewer complication,
agree.
then we can dive into our next step, based on how they address what they hear tonight, it would be my opinion. And we can kind of move forward. from there.
So you're suggesting a meeting between,
At the next board, at our next board meeting, our next
yeah,
month.
no, I think that's a
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
good idea, but between that, I think
I
that
don't
there's
think
a
we need
lot
to
of.
meet. Yeah, they're going to address whatever they hear, and the Board of Water needs to file an official notification of their impression of what they're doing for sewer. And then what Board of Health and Board of Water need to file an official opinion, because they haven't done that yet. And then they need to address that accordingly. Because if they're trying to get a waiver that says they don't have to have a water study or land study, and that is circumventing our entire protection plan, I mean, the departments need an option and need to state where they stand on that. And I don't think they have. We haven't seen a report, nothing's been turned in on that, official opinion on that, is that correct? We just heard it
No,
from
we
him
have-
tonight.
We have letters from all the boards, but I agree that they weren't very clear or defined, and we think that the task would be to define those.
Right, so I think
and find
once,
out what
normally when
exactly-
we're here, that is all well-defined for us, and then we can have our discussions, and then if the applicant needs to, they ask for a continuance. I don't think we're at a level where we have that information. So, my recommendation, we let the public speak so that they can hear the concerns, and then we do a continuance if the applicant is in agreeance. That way, everyone here has an opportunity, since they are here, and then we can, and Water and the Health can come back with their official recommendations based on project, and then we can move forward at our next meeting.
Okay.
And you don't need the applicant's consent to that either, because you got plenty of time to keep the hearing open.
Yeah, right. I mean, yes.
And it is our intention. If the water wants to submit an updated letter or whatever they're submitting tonight, we can respond to all comments of record. And it's on us to respond to that. And if we feel as though we need to have a discussion with just the Board of Health, we can attend a Board of Health meeting, which is a regularly scheduled meeting, which is a public meeting, and these comments would be noticed on it. So I'm very comfortable going that way, and then just responding to all comments in writing, meeting with any departments that we need to prior to the next meeting, and after the rest of the abutters get to speak on these issues, we can continue.
Yeah, we certainly intend to let any abutter speak that wishes to. That's a guarantee.
Sure.
First, we need to have the boards do their.
The only thing is that does not address the main issue, is whether we have authority on this sewer issue.
Council will ultimately
Well,
answer
yeah, I
that.
think
Yeah.
council will respond to that, and
Again, you have jurisdiction on the issue. I'm not saying you have to grant it. You have jurisdiction to
But I'd like
grant
to
it or
hear, I
deny
would
it.
like to hear from the Board of Health,
Yeah.
their feelings on this.
It's getting confused at this point,
Yeah.
which is I can't emphasize that enough. These regulations are relatively new. There's not a single project that's completed. There's not a single residential project that's completed the Board of Health process. So it's ongoing as we speak.
But they're the ones who are going to decide.
No, not necessarily.
And that's something we could ask town council
Not
to write an
necessarily.
opinion on.
I can write an opinion, but I'm just giving you the preview.
Yep.
Overall, you stand in the shoes of any local board with regard to any local regulation. Doesn't mean you have the right to grant a property interest. You don't.
Right.
But any local regulation, you stand in the shoes of your local board. So you definitely want to have input from your board, that local board, so that you can stand in their shoes. You get their comments and you can make a reasoned decision, or then send it for further peer review then. But you have jurisdiction over the local regulations. And again, it doesn't mean that the applicant's entitled to a waiver. It just means that you have the jurisdiction to grant or deny it.
Well, I just know that if I was on the Board of Health and I felt this was my decision and the Zoning Board of Appeals says something else, I wouldn't be happy. What am I here for?
The law, the 40B is a law, and it overrides local zoning. I don't know if you're happy about that, but that's a reality.
It's a
To
state.
Glenn's
I'm
point,
just
though,
saying,
let them
just
say
in
it.
general, if the Board of Health feels this is their decision,
And we can take their input, we can do what we want. I mean, a decision's gonna be made whether to approve this project or not, and a lot of decisions are gonna be made in between sewer, septic, the whole
I'm
deal.
just saying that if you were on the Board of Health and you're saying that you can override them, what am I doing on the Board of Health?
But you're not going to override it without the
Their
same
input.
level of information that the Board of Health would normally consider.
Yeah, and if
It still requires a tremendous amount of analysis to determine what's the threat and what's the level of the threat.
And
That's the purpose of the
and
Board
they
of Health
haven't looked at
process.
it at all in general, as far as you know?
They have all the same information that you have. I mean, the district seems to have come to certain conclusions. Maybe the Board of Health has as well, but the Board of Health has a very specific procedure and protocols that they follow. That process has not taken place because no one's applied to the Board of Health. And the Board of Health may not fully understand that the applicant isn't going to go to the Board of Health because they don't need to. They're getting their permit through the zoning
But
board.
we can ask Donna, Greenwood, to come.
But we're
to the
not
meeting.
the experts
No,
in
agreed.
Board of Health issues, are we?
Agreed. So we'll have to figure all that out. The point
That's
is
why I
that
say we
it's,
need their input.
yes,
you
yes,
need their input 100%.
right. But
I
they
mean,
won't be,
in
they
theory,
won't,
this is their input to date, the letter they
the
provided.
regulatory process is not going to go through the Board of Health.
And I think the plans as well. The plans, from what I was reading, going through it, looked like there was a septic system being put on there. Went through everything.
I think they've been back and
Right,
forth
right.
with,
And so if the
the
Board of
intent of
Health viewed it
understanding
that
the
way,
best
by
route.
the letter they responded,
Correct.
it looks
Correct.
like they responded that there was a septic system.
Correct.
And
So I think what Jamie mentioned is a good step forward.
Right,
Let's make sure all the departments have clarity on what's being proposed.
and where and
Let
how.
them submit another letter to the zoning board.
And let the applicant follow up with them in the meantime, because the applicant may decide, all right, forget it, we don't want to connect to sewer, we will do the on-site. Then certain things will stay within Board of Health jurisdiction at that point. So, because state issues, any state permit that they need will go through the proper jurisdiction. You don't have the ability to waive that. But the applicant may provide you further clarity too about what, it can't keep going that you don't know whether they're proposing a sewer connection or
Right.
an on-site.
Right.
They need to clarify that, they'll
One
do
way or
it
the
and comment back.
Let me ask the applicant a question. Why would you not put in a septic system?
Well, there was lots of reasons. I mean, we had a site walk initially. We were proposing a septic system. It seemed like a sewer connection would be better out there, it'd be easier. to
Why
put-
better?
Why better? It's less impactful to the earth and the environment to put in a pipe than it is to put in a septic system over time that leaches out into the earth. So you do the less impactful option if it's available. That's why the town of Chelmsford has always said you can't put in a septic system, you have to put in a sewer connection. It wasn't until you ran out of capacity that they said, oh, no, you have to put in a septic system, which is why we designed it that way. So that's why we went back to the sewer connection. But again, just like your town council just said, ultimately, if the Board of Health and this board decides that a septic system's a better option, we've already done the testing out there, we can design one and put it out there.
Well, it would seem if you're putting a septic system in one place in that top corner, I don't think I'd want to live in one of those units, right there at the septic system.
Well, the septic system would comply. We had a Title V compliance system in there, so it would just be like any other house that had a septic system, except this would be multifamily housing under 40B.
Well,
That's
would
the only
you-
distinction here.
Would you agree that if you put in a septic system, this whole
My
argument
house
goes
does
out
have a
the
septic
window?
system. I live in a municipality that doesn't have sewer. So, but we're getting off track here. The point is, we will respond to the comments, okay? We will respond to water comments. We'll come back to this board with the comments responded to, and then we'll update the waiver list, as council has indicated. We'll have a discussion about the waivers, and then this board ultimately gets to decide whether you grant the waivers or whether you don't grant the waivers, with the advice of your department heads and your board heads and all of the comments that you'll get back. This is just a preliminary meeting where you have initial comments, an initial discussion, and then we have work to do. That's why the statute gives you 180 days to do so. So we've got some work to do. We're listening to your comments, we're listening to board comments, we're gonna listen to abutter comments, and then we'll come back here
Right.
in a month and see what leeway we've made, what headway we've made. But I think there are some still abutters that want to speak. I think we've gotten off track a
Yeah.
little bit, so
Yeah.
if you'd like, Mr. Chair, I can step aside so we could hear abutter comments.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak in favor or opposition to this project? You'll have another opportunity, but now is a good time if you do.
How you doing? Michael Wenning at 4 Edgelon Ave. I'm a direct abutter. I can show you my property. It's right here, which is lower in elevation than this. Water flows this way.
You said 4, is that 4 Edgelon?
4 Edgelon, yes. I've lived there for 19 years, and all of the abutters are single-level ranch houses, and there's not a single multifamily house in the neighborhood. This would be the first. And parking is a concern I have amongst the other ones with sewer and stuff. There's only 14 spots there with visitors. I live in a 3-bedroom house, and there's 5 cars in my driveway. Not to talk about other people, but the Kellys, 3-bedroom house, 5 cars in the driveway. The Reeds, 3-bedroom house, 4 cars. I don't know anybody today that has a 3-bedroom house, gonna have 4 or more people, that doesn't have enough parking spots for them. Sometimes when I pull in my driveway, if I have a trailer, I can't even pull in certain ways because of cars that are on the street. I have to go up around Maros Ave and pull in a certain way, because there's cars in the street as is now, where I live. I don't know where all these cars are gonna park when they come. And then another thing, I have a question. Did the town hire a retainer on a lawyer just for 40B?
No, sir, he's the town council for everything.
Counselor? Okay.
He is sitting tonight at the town's dime to
Just wondering if they put a
oversee
retainer
the
for a lawyer, just
40B,
to try
but he's not
to try to push a lot of
exclusively.
these 40Bs through. I just was.
It's important for me to clarify that, actually, if you
Sure.
don't
Right
mind.
answer.
I didn't,
I'm-
never
No,
heard
it's
it before.
it's a great question. I don't mind clarifying the public. Applicants have to pay peer review for technical assistance, say engineering, stormwater, issues like that. The regulations on the state entity that has jurisdiction, at least on the initial phase, on an appeal of the board's decision, has decisions that the applicant is not responsible for paying legal fees, even if you need legal assistance. So the town has to pay that itself,
So the-
as opposed to consultants. And then further from that, so the town is paying for town council to be here.
So the
on
town's
that.
paying for you.
Correct.
So the town
And-
has you on retainer to help push through all these 40B projects in a rush of something that just recently passed.
No, we're not-
We have a
Then
town,
Not what he
Chelmsford
said.
no. We have a town council that sits on any applicant or is available to us for any application.
Just public information about what his salary is or what
Yeah,
the
and
town's
Yes.
I
paying?
wanted to clarify too, that town council
On
is
the town
not,
finance report.
town council is not me. It's, we have people that specialize in various areas of municipal law. So if you have a municipal finance issue, you have somebody else. Labor issue, somebody else from our firm. I'm here because I do land use permitting, but there's no agenda, there's been no directive to me about how to advise you, except to be here and advise you about, the jurisdictional issues, so.
Yeah, but do know, we always have, and we've had town council sit with us on numerous
Sure, this is
applications
the
of
first
very.
I've
Yep.
been to many meetings, it's the first I've seen that they have a 40B lawyer.
He's just.
He's not?
I heard him
He
introduce
does
himself.
not have a
Specialize in
position.
40B.
Specialized, yes, he's not a divorce lawyer, he's a,
I don't specialize in developers, though. I represent
sure,
municipal
I'm just,
boards and
as a
40B.
citizen of this town for 19 years, I see how dense it's gotten. It seems like the town just wants to push this 40B through quickly because it just became new and not caring about if the resources can handle any of this stuff.
I've sat on this board for 10 years, and I can promise you, this town has worked extremely hard to be done with 40Bs. We did achieve that goal for 4 years, Evan, is that accurate?
Where's the water coming for these 20-plus people? Plus people, where's there's always a water
Water?
ban, water.
The supply of
Yeah.
water?
There's a
Well,
water
we're not
ban
in a
every
critical
year,
stage of
rainy
water
severe, I see
supply.
water ban signs. And then the sewer's maxed out in the town, it's just, seems like they're biting off their noses, bite their face just to get these more units in. That's my
The town
concern.
is definitely growing, and I can tell you, that's not our goal at all, is to continue to grow. We want to manage growth as best we can. People own land, they have rights, they're allowed to do things, and we try to manage it as best, but I don't think anyone on the board or the attorney who I just met tonight has an agenda to, let's get this 40B through or not.
It clearly shows that the town anonymously passed the 40B without even having a special vote or nothing. The town, people live here had no say on it.
You vote at every election.
Sure,
mean,
I
that's-
vote for
you're
you guys,
right.
but I think a special.
I'm appointed, I
Oh,
don't
sure,
get elected.
I vote in selectmen and representative, but for something like that, I think they should have a special, that's above and beyond the 40B.
Brian, I have a little 40B, like, announcement that's not a lawyer announcement.
Feel free, Charlie,
Sir, back in 1969, the legislature decided to have 40B. And what 40B is 10% of all your housing has to be affordable. In every town, all 351, sorry. In Chelmsford, because we did have quite a bit of open space, we built a lot of homes. We try to keep our 10% up, but right now, we're at 9.78%. We need 32 more low-income houses. We'll be at 10, and then this board can either say yes or no, and by then, I believe we could say no.
Sure,
So-
I just
so
see a
right
lot
now,
of
we're stuck.
buildings coming in, sir, everywhere. Chelmsford does not look the same as it did when I moved here.
No, it won't. It never
It looks like
will.
Burlington or Woburn.
Right.
I'd like to
You're
keep
right.
Chelmsford.
But that 40, we are tied when builders call the 40B or put a 40B in their project. We fall under a whole different set of rules, and since we don't have that 10%, there is a whole different set of rules that the state imposes that we have to.
Sure. There was a vote not that long ago about the 40B. I remember, like, towns were fighting it. Some towns were fighting it. Chelmsford
Oh,
unanimously
that's
passed it.
MBTA.
That was
MBTA, yes,
MBTA.
sorry,
That
you're
was
right.
different.
That's different.
And that is yet to take effect, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Yes,
But that is going to be a very
wanna-
difficult time for the town.
Sure.
It
Well, we
it
get-
really is, it's very concerning. I think there's another 4 or 5 months, but it's going to be concerning. The 40B is not going to be a concern compared to the potential for that, putting a second home on almost any house you would like.
You're referring to the ADUs.
That's what I
ADUs, that's correct.
I'll let some other people talk. Thank you for your time, Council.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak this evening? Good evening.
Evening. Wayne Sullivan, 11 Morose. A couple questions. I was wondering why the road or the driveway goes from 20 feet into the property to 24 feet, why it doesn't keep the same distance the whole way out. Also, the way the contour of the entrance to it goes right into my driveway, like to the edge of my driveway, about me backing out of my driveway if this goes through. I was looking on the website, I didn't see any sort of grading plan or anything like that.
I don't know if it has been
With existing
developed
topo grades, I saw the new ones, the new gradings, but it doesn't show any
Existing?
existing grades out there, so seeing
I'm
whether.
going to defer to Katie if she could respond to that.
It is?
Yeah.
Can you pull them out? The existing grades
Yeah,
in there? I
they're there.
couldn't see it on my computer.
Yep, it's just sheet.
C3.
Who did the
Three.
surveying?
Land Tech.
Land Tech did it?
Next one.
Sheet 3.
Oh, no, sorry, go back.
Yeah, go back, it's toward the beginning.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, it was.
He wants the existing.
7?
The existing grades, I don't wanna.
Oh, yeah, it's shown.
Underneath there, but it's on, this is a condensed version. Do you have the site plan that was submitted?
Yes.
In the site plan that was submitted, there's an existing conditions plan, but there's also an erosion and sedimentation control plan that shows the existing topo.
Let me just pull up the plans.
Is that? No.
That's the existing elevations right there.
Adjusting my eyes here.
That's the data report.
Site plan, it's the, under the final.
C7.
It's the fourth
No, these
document,
are,
or fifth
trees
document.
that they're gonna
Thank
remove.
you. Sorry,
It was all blurry, I
I
couldn't pull
can't
it
see
up.
right
I'm
now.
gonna race through this.
Here we go.
That one right there.
Oh,
The
I
next
see.
one. I think she clicked the wrong one.
Oh, no, this is a rendering.
Yeah.
It's the one underneath it. It says site, site plans.
I need to magnify. Sorry, Katie. I'm getting there.
No, it's okay.
There's a lot of documents
Yeah, site
here,
plans,
let's be
yeah, right
patient.
here, it says site at the
Thank
end.
you.
There is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now scroll.
It's this one right
So this plan here is the demo and erosion
Yeah.
control plan. These are all site contours across the
Yeah,
site.
what are the grades, though? You can't read them. What are
So,
they?
right. No, you're right, they're shut off. They should be on, but they're on all the other sheets, but we'll turn them on for the
Okay,
next plan.
thanks.
We have all the information.
Would it be possible to get a copy of that for the next meeting, Katie?
That's just the labels on that specific sheet, they're on the other sheets, so. we'll
Just
make
shut
sure
off.
that label's on, yep.
Okay.
That was just my concern about why it's considered a driveway and not a roadway like the rest of the
And
site.
again, I probably defer to Katie to ask that question as well. Katie, when it goes from 20 to 24, could you explain the logic of
Yeah,
your
sure.
choice?
So that's just to limit the amount of impervious surface on the site. We were just being cognizant of that. 20 is what's necessary for a fire lane and two-way traffic. And until you get to the parking spots, a 90-degree parking spot
Need the turn.
requires a 24-foot aisle to back up. So then we go from the 20 to 24. And it's not that we can't do it, it's just that it made sense to not have more asphalt. So
If you can avoid using it, you try not to.
that's correct.
Is it being labeled as a road or is it a driveway?
I think it's a common drive is what it would be
Common
referred to.
driveway to a road?
It is not a road.
It is not a road.
It is-
So it
In the
would
legal
not be
sense,
town
it is not,
maintained.
it is not serving as frontage. Will the fire department require a sign? Yes, but legally
So
it is,
it's a road but not a road?
it's a driveway.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank
To a
you.
rear lot. I mean, it's not the first time.
May
Yeah,
have the
it wouldn't
frontage.
be maintained by the town.
What's that?
No, it wouldn't be maintained by the town.
Okay.
There'd be a private plow and such.
May I get up? May I?
Yes, ma'am?
I didn't prepare anything for tonight, I'm just gonna, my name's Cindy Lazinski, first of all.
A
I
little
live
trouble
at
hearing
20
you.
Edge Lawn, if you need to know that. I think for me, I'm not a direct abutter, but my concern right from the get-go on this is the fact that we're in a Zone 2 aquifer. And I know that the Mass DEP years ago, probably 20 years ago now, put out a SWAT report for the North Chelmsford Water District. And in it, they indicated how important it is to protect these areas, whether the town can purchase them or get them through donations or what have you, but to try to avoid building on them. And that's pretty much what I had read. And I'm here tonight just to underline that. To me, it's so critically important for us. If we can speak up for it, that's the molecule for me, is to try to protect that land. It's so important. I'd like to see nothing built on it personally. I'd like to see it donated. I know that'll never happen, but donate that to the town of Chelmsford for the protection of our water. You would be a folk hero, in my book. I know that that's not the real world, but I would like to see it protected.
I appreciate
And
that.
I would. And the other thing on here is, there's different boards, not just Mass DEP, not just EPA, but the Mass Association of Health Boards.org. They're more in line of helping out the boards of health. But they also have very similar guidelines about proposed use of the Zone 2 aquifers. They talk about any impervious surface more than 15% or 2,500 square feet shall be subject to additional permits from the planning board. And again, they're trying to, waive all this stuff, and I just don't think it's right. I think my other concern with it is, and I don't know if you guys can answer this tonight or not, but I'm worried that it will also trip my whole area, Edgeland Morose, to multifamily. And if that is the case, if that does get rezoned, you will see more pavement, you'll see more homes, you'll see one of these little ranches torn down, you'll see duplexes. All this creates more runoff. And it ends up right across the street and causing more problems for our water. We don't need that. So I just want to be heard about that tonight, and it's critically important. I've got kids, I've got grandkids, they live in town as well. And they can't speak up yet, but I want to speak for them and say, please do what you can to help us safeguard our water. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. So my name's Janet Robb, and I live at 29 Edgeland Ave, and I've got a couple of concerns. I don't think when they say that a fire truck needs 20 feet to get there, is anyone even considering during snow season when the snow's really high and those lanes get narrower and narrower? I mean, nobody's going to be out there.
There was specifically a requirement that the snow storage not be placed in the fire
No, I'm
lanes.
talking about just plowing that driveway into those areas. They're not going to make sure it's exactly 20 feet. They're just going to have someone come in, plow it, and be done with it. If it's only a 20-foot driveway to start with, how are they going to get a truck in there if the snow's piled more and more in?
If the fire truck cannot gain proper access to those, then they will be held liable, and it causes any
And
damage.
people die in the meantime. You're
held liable.
saying that you're
But I'm sure,
worried about
knowing that legal
safety.
liability, a smart business person would not allow that to occur. Just saying, they would be held liable if the fire apparatus could not gain proper access because they know the requirement. Just for your
So
education.
we're putting this on a business person's.
I'm just stating for your education that they're obligated to make sure that the apparatuses can maintain proper access.
So, and if they don't maintain that access, because I can guarantee no one's going to be out there measuring after they plow it to make sure that it has the.
I've plowed my entire adult life, and when I plow, I make sure that the driveways are plowed.
Yeah, you can plow them, but are they wide enough for a fire truck to get down?
Well, the truck goes down a 12-foot lane in a roadway, so 20 leaves you a little extra room there.
Also, too, on that corner, if a fire truck comes in, I mean, I've lived there 30 years. I don't think a fire truck can go down Morrow's and make that turn. It would have to go up and around and go straight in, because it's a really curved
It is a
area
difficult
right
corner,
there.
for sure.
So, I mean, that's something to consider. The septic tank, if they're going in, has anyone walked by a septic tank when they're overfilling and they just reek? I mean, that causes concerns for everyone. And my son, because it's a circle at the top, he walks that pretty much every day, 2 miles around and around, because he tries to get his cardio in. And to have extra cars coming out at angles and all this extra traffic and everything makes it more dangerous for people who are just trying to get out and walk around.
It definitely increases the density, there's no doubt.
And it kind of, and I know this isn't part of it, but if you allow this to go in, it's going to destroy our neighborhood. I mean, right now, everyone who lives there owns. We all have a vested interest. When you start putting in multifamily, people who rent, they don't care how it affects the neighborhood because they don't have a vested interest. And you can say he owns it, He has a vested interest, but there's nothing to say he's not going to sell it in 6 months to someone else. He can live here, but he's a developer, right? He's been doing this for a long time. He doesn't hold on to everything he develops, do you? See? So, I mean,
There's concerns. We're here to hear this. We're going to hear it. We're going to make a decision on it, the best one we can. These are all legitimate concerns and should be considered. We can't just say no. It just doesn't work that way. We don't have that
but there are
right.
sewer concerns and other concerns that,
There are many
according to the
concerns,
lawyer,
absolutely.
you don't have to approve. You can still hold on to
The scenario is we will
regulations.
vote to approve or not approve, depending on whether the plan meets the needs of the town. But even if we disprove it, there's problems that will occur. They'll just go to court. So what we're trying to do is
But
strike
there's
the
that
best
huge
deal we
development
can.
at the edge of Lowell and Chelmsford that's being developed in Chelmsford, right? You're telling me that area couldn't take that extra percentage that needs to be done and leave our area alone?
Well, I'm telling you that as of this moment, today, that he is allowed to apply under the laws
I know,
and rights
I'm
of the
just saying.
40B. I know what you're saying, and
Yeah.
it's, but it just doesn't work that way. He is within his rights to
I
apply
understand
for
that.
this development. We are doing our duty to hear it and decide what's the best we can do with it. But it's not, I wish it was that easy, but it's very difficult. There's, as you can see, a ton of, conflicting things that are going on here. It's going to be a long process. We're certainly going to try to see that, is sewer right, is septic right, can we shape the driveway so it's more appealing to that we can make this a better project to suit everyone's needs. It'd be ideal. But it is a smaller place, it has limitations. To make it profitable, it needs an amount of products. You can't have a single-family 40B.
And just know, even though we could override or authorize the waiver, that's just one single concern over this entire project. So we will analyze every aspect. So, and there's many points that are at play here. So, yes, that is a concern, and we need definitely to get more input, direct input from the other departments, but we will be looking at everything. But we also, the clock has now started for us by law. So there are things by law that we have to follow as a 40B application, that if it was a regular development or regular family development, there are things that are different for us as well. So know that there are certain things that we're limited to as well, so.
No, I understand. Thank you for your time.
We will pay attention to your interests as best we
Absolutely.
can, I promise you that.
Thank you so much.
But I don't have any vested interest in whether this occurs or not. So our
I know,
goal
the
is simply
rest
to
of
make
us
it the
do.
best we can.
I drive by that every day.
And we've all been here for decades.
Yeah,
Every
I love your
single-
neighborhood. I think it's great. I
I
really
mean,
do.
every single house in that neighborhood, except a couple, you've got generations and generations of people in there, So,
I know
I
the
mean,
Osinskis very well, and they've been there since time began, so
Yeah.
that's great to see.
thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments this evening? And there will be time for more, and I think we'll have a better idea next month of the direction we're going to try to approach, as well as the developer we're trying to approach. So we'll try to get it organized so we are clear, and I think there were some clouds for sure. That being said, I think it's a good time maybe to look for a motion to continue.
You have a date?
I think it was the 3rd.
October 3rd is our next meeting.
Is that soon enough or late enough?
No, we have to take it to the next
Yeah,
meeting.
we have to have it
We
next
have to.
meeting.
Yes.
Unless you want to go to a dedicated meeting.
My opinion, I think it's best we just keep it at this forum, let the boards propose there, and we come back October 3rd, and then we can see where we stand from
Get some
that
clarity.
motion.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll make a motion to continue to October 3rd.
A second? Second by Jamie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Evan, do you know when the Board of Health meets?
Board of Health meets Monday evening. It's upcoming Monday.
Every Monday?
No, they meet the second Monday of every month.
Better than I thought.
Yeah.
Went better than I thought.
Well, I think what they're trying to do
can't hear
too is
you
not
at all,
just
John.
replicate everyone. Oh, we don't want it because the sewer. We don't want it. Yeah.
If you don't need counsel, you want to go home,
Very good, sure.
We never dream.
I'll be in touch. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
With a second floor.
Yep.
Is the okay?
Just because it wasn't advertised.
I think, didn't he have to redo the plan, put the...
Okay, with the breath, we're going to look at, is it up to 39, is that right? Yes. Our next hearing is 39 Evergreen Street. I'm going to make a mess of this, my apologies. Lakshmi NR. There you go, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Rolls it right off.
Thank you for all your efforts, I appreciate it.
And I'm just going to read through the thing to open the hearing. Lakshmi is requesting a special permit under zoning bylaw section 195-8E2, nonconformity to construct a 23 by 29-foot-5 second-floor addition that will alter the pre-existing nonconforming structure. The project meets the historical setback requirements, does not meet the lot coverage or floor area, any other relief deemed necessary. This property is located in the residential RB district. Good evening. Can we pull
Mr.
this up
Chairman,
and
and,
get an idea what the percentages are that he's
Yes.
off by?
And this has been updated. This is the new one that was submitted since the last meeting.
Okay, stamps, I see.
You may all recall that the dimensions on the second floor addition had been updated when the public hearing began, but the calculations on the table down below had not. So the surveyor, engineer updated this table.
That is correct.
The floor area ratio is at an increase of, I think it was .09 before, and now it's the .1. So 10%. And now the table's been all updated for everyone to review. And from my recollection, the public hearing was open, but knowing that there was some discrepancies on this plan, the board decided to continue it and ask for an update, but we didn't actually discuss the project nor read the letters into the record, the departmental letters. So that's something.
So we're just going up by 10% of the FAR or the lot coverage? Just the FAR, because the lot coverage is already, the second floor, we're not adding to that.
Correct, so it's just for the FAR.
Okay. So a 10% increase, which is pretty reasonable. I guess I could ask you for a little synopsis of what you plan to do there, but it seems the 10% is pretty much the end result. Is there going to be bedrooms up there?
One bedroom, sir.
One additional bedroom, or?
One additional bedroom and one bath.
And how many will that make it total?
Three. Right now I have 3, that will be 4.
So I'm going to read the letters. Are there any questions at this point from the board before I read the letters?
I don't think.
Okay. This is the fire department. Dear members of the board, the office has reviewed the proposal for an addition at 39 Evergreen Street. Finds the following: the entire home, existing, new construction, shall be equipped with life safety systems as required by 780 CMR 51, standard for new construction at the time of application for a building permit. The home shall have hardwired, interconnected smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors in all required locations. The applicant shall upload a plan showing all life safety devices to the building permit application. This office would approve of this addition with these conditions, and I ask that the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully submitted, Danielle Kostafis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. I have a letter from Sheila Joyce, project engineer. regarding 39 Evergreen Street. As a result of the review, the office has the following comments. No increase to the town of Chelmsford sewer infrastructure shall be more than 500 gallons per day. And I believe it's just one bedroom, you would not create that problem, as 110 gallons per day. Title V of the State Environmental Code, one additional bedroom proposed is 110 gallons per day, therefore acceptable in accordance with the town sewer policy. Per Town of Chelmsford sewer use regulations, the Sewer Commission established the estimated cost of increasing the treatment facility capacity of the system to be $15 per gallon of daily wastewater flow. The sewer impact fee, $15 per gallon times 110 gallons per day, is $1,650, shall be paid to the DPW sewer prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit, a certificate of occupancy, excuse me. Consideration should be made to install roof drain dry wells. This is not a requirement for approval. In fact, I don't think you're increasing the lot area at all, so you can take that under advisement. There are no issues of concern from the Conservation Commission. There are no comments or concerns from the assessor. There's a letter from Jose Negron. Dear owner, this letter serves as denial to proposed addition of the above subjected address, which will increase the lot coverage and farm maximum, therefore requiring relief from the Board of Appeals. Please make application for an appeal to my determination to the Community Development Department within 30 days of this date of notice. I look forward to assisting you during this process. Thank you. Respectfully, Jose Negron. And I have a certified plot plan. Those are the letters that I have tonight.
We did just receive this evening, before the meeting began, a letter from an abutter, once you open it up for public input. And you can pass these down.
Okay. So I'll open this up to public input with reading this. Dear members of the Chelmsford ZBA, we own Todd Lane, 50-foot private undeveloped road, which is adjacent to 39 Evergreen Street. In addition, we own the property behind the applicant. We are direct abutters to the applicant's home on the right and rear sides with minimum side setbacks of 3 and 5 feet. Am I correct, they're not going to change your setbacks?
They're not going to change.
Okay. Todd Lane is an access way to our properties. Please note, Todd Lane extends the full 50 feet between 35 and 39 Evergreen on the applicant's plot plan. We have several questions and concerns regarding the special permit for 39 Evergreen Street. 1, is a second-floor addition being built on top of the pre-existing single-story structure, and will it have the exact dimensions?
Yes.
Yes. Will the new addition have any overhangs that deviate from the first story? We would like to confirm that the applicant is not modifying the side and rear setbacks that are abut our properties.
No.
Okay. 2, we would appreciate clarification from the applicant on the specific viewing angle of the home displayed in the C. Schultz plan on page 2. What is the pre-existing being torn down and being built? How tall is the two-story structure?
It will be maintained the same. I already have a two-story structure.
You're maintaining the height of the existing
Maintain the
building?
exact same, because we are connecting the other two stories.
Okay.
like, yeah.
Given the very small side setback of 3 feet and the rear setback of 5 feet, how does the applicant intend to build the second-story addition?
I have a pathway from the deck, and I have my other side of the neighbor, who don't usually, they are okay with me.
You
all
feel
the
it can
time.
be accomplished?
Yes, it can be.
And that's your right. Now, obviously, the trespass is a concern,
Yeah.
so just probably pay attention to that. 3, no, that was 3. 4, there is a wall denoted in the applicant's plot plan which abuts their home and crosses the boundary line into our property at Todd Lane. We intend to develop Todd Lane as a public road and remove a portion of the wall that was built on our property. We'd like to hear the applicant's engineer that he took this into consideration when assessing the structural integrity of the applicant's home and the building of the new addition.
That should not be my engineer to check, right? They have to hire their own engineers to check whatever they want to do with
You're
that.
responsible for what's on your property.
Yeah.
And what's off your property is
Right.
subject to their, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're sort of making
How
you
long
aware
has the
of
wall
that.
been there?
Oh, forever. Since I moved in 2013, it's been there and it's been there. And there's a tree as well, so if you remove the wall, there's a concern that tree may be gone or,
It's almost like an adverse position.
yeah.
That sounds like it's a problem for another
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, exactly.
Where will the building material be placed during the construction?
On my property, of course.
Very good. Thank you for your kind assistance and consideration of this matter. Sincerely, Andrew, Audrey, and Leon Dumanian.
So you're just adding a second level to the current single story that's attached to the rear of your wood deck,
That is
correct?
correct, yes.
Okay.
I'm going northwards, none
Not
of the
out.
sideways, yes.
Just up. Okay.
So our only real consideration is the FAR
Mhm.
and not the even lot coverage. There's no change to lot coverage whatsoever.
Yeah.
And at 10%, it's
Minimal.
Right.
minimal.
We've seen.
Are there any
It's
questions from the
yeah,
board?
that house there.
Yeah. I'm just pulling up the, yeah, that's what I was looking at, to give you a visual.
So it's the one floor section that will go up and join the other two sections there.
Yep.
And yes, the material either through the deck or through the other side, I'll try my best not to encroach their line. I know they are very particular with that, so I can respect that, yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I'm going to open this up to the public. I'd like to sit down, sir. Does anyone like to speak in favor or opposition to this? Please.
Audrey Dumanian, 25 Bentley Lane, and you just read the letter that we submitted.
Hi.
So, yes, we do own Todd Lane that's adjacent to the applicant's property, and it's only 3 feet from his home.
Very narrow. I respect that. But he does have the right to work on his
expect-
home and not
I
to
realize
trespass.
that, but can you realistically expect that he will use his property to build that side of that home?
He won't.
I'm sorry, that would be his responsibility. And I don't
I know.
know how he plans to do it, but I will tell you that I've seen work in Boston that takes place on sites you just cannot imagine, and they do it. This would be his responsibility. He's not allowed to trespass. He's going to be under the onus to do it. He can't, he'd be violating the law to do it. I can tell you it can be done. You just don't have access. We've worked on projects where maybe it's not a neighbor, but there's just no way to work over there because it's a river or it's a.
Would it be possible to
He
have
has the
a
right to
agreement?
try, I can tell you that, he does. so.
Well, would it be possible to have a written agreement with him that?
It's the
he will-
law. I mean, your agreement
He
is
can't
the law.
trespass on your property. I think he's more than willing to tell you that he won't trespass on your property. If you need to protect it, you can put up a fence. I mean, he can't go to your property without your permission legally. Yeah, you could say you can use it while you're building this, be a neighborly, but
Right, if
you can obstruct him with a fence if that's your choice,
Well-
but he's not obligated to do that.
I guess I was wondering, would it be possible for us to agree that if he does use the property, he will return it to us in its condition and not place the construction?
I don't think town can
That's between you two.
Yeah, that's really not our purview, but I think that if you were to allow him permission and say, can you restore it to its original condition, you could both kind of win,
I realize that. I would just like a written agreement between us
Well, it's
before he
between you.
builds.
It's between you and him.
That's between
We
you
couldn't
two.
enforce that,
So
but you
you
certainly could
grant him
ask him.
permission to build, and he needs to build on his property, and he can't go into our property. You're not giving him permission to go
No,
and
not
use
at
our
all.
property?
Not at all.
We
Okay.
can't.
You guys
Is that
can
a
work-
realistic, I guess my question then is that a realistic,
I would think it'd be challenging to build that without, but I have done it. I mean,
Professionals.
it's just-
We're not a moral board, but
I
basically, if you're
understand you're
both good neighbors,
granting
you can do what you
zoning,
want.
and you're gonna say that this is approved for a special permit. My second concern was the wall. The wall is abutting his house.
Do you feel you own the wall, or do you feel he owns the wall?
He can own the wall that's in his property, but the wall is going into our property. We didn't place the wall there.
I think nor did he, is that correct?
He said he did not.
Has it been there, I mean, I assume you've been there a long time.
Does it matter? It's in our property.
It does matter.
Yes. It's in for how long it's been there. There's an adverse possession.
Oh,
You need an
I
attorney.
asked advice on this, and the attorney stated that I got an opinion, and he said that the engineer should speak to whether that this building is structurally sound and can be, could be removed, because the applicant submitted a letter from the engineer. Did the engineer understand that this wall is extending out of his property?
Well, an engineer would have far more sense about that than I would. I think the process will be that the plans will come to Mr. Negron and the building department. They will look at it, decide if the plans are adequate and safe to build by standard building code, and either approve or disapprove the permit. That would be their job at the building
So
department.
are you going to, in your process, understand that wall is going into our property? Meaning, are you building on top of this, knowing that there's a wall there?
I mean, he's not building on top of the wall.
The
concrete pad, he's not extending his current
see the
footprint.
retaining wall there.
He's not
It's a
extending his
It's not a
current
retaining
footprint.
wall, it's a wall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
no,
not
it is a retaining
changing where his building is. He's not changing the ground space, he's not changing where his building is. He's going up, straight up only.
I'm just concerned that the building is being built on top of that structure.
On top of what structure?
The
wall? No, it's
Because
not
it's
being.
sticking into his
So
building.
it appears that the foundation, which holds up the home,
Yes.
is similarly attached to the wall that continues out and continues onto your property.
Uh-huh.
The load, as it may be, and Jose could speak to this much clearer than I, is directly down. It doesn't travel along the wall in some contorted way. I mean,
Okay.
it's
And an architect and an engineer would have to verify, and I'm sure a due diligence, I mean, he's not gonna invest all this money to build a second layer if the load can't be
Well,
held by the
that's what I'm
platform.
asking, is the engineer looked at this and understood that?
Actually, and you're welcome to this.
I have that.
Oh, okay.
I got
So that's a
that.
stamped, an engineer does not give a stamp lightly. If an engineer says that it's structurally sound and stamps the plan, he's putting his entire, not only liability, but reputation on it.
And the wall isn't part of that.
It's listed here as a retaining wall.
foundation
It's not listed as a foundation. It's listed as a
Okay.
retaining wall on the
Oh, well,
plan.
this plan does state that.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
a-
know what constitutes a retaining wall. It's not in a plot plan by the Massachusetts as a retaining wall.
So it's a retaining wall because it retains land behind it. What it does is so if you look, it's probably less than 3 feet, so it's not a structural
Well, when the road is built, that's a public road, when it becomes a public road, the retaining wall would be removed.
Well, at that point, I think
That's-
you're gonna
then
have
that
an
will
issue.
be addressed then,
Because
but
you're gonna have adverse
we're here
possession
now,
issues
and-
there at that
Yeah.
point.
We're here now, and this is his.
It's in our property.
Yeah, but
Yes,
And he
but
won't, again,
When you decide to develop that property,
Yes.
you'll have to have a discussion about how to remove that wall legally.
Or if it can be
It's not something
removed
would
legally.
apply to
or
us.
if it
but
even can.
No, right.
As it stands right now, we have an engineer that
Does
says
adverse possession
the
still
foundation is suitable to build a second floor
Okay.
on. And that's, we only have a small purview in this. We
All
don't,
right, I
We're not
understand.
land court or anything.
The final comment, though, is related to the FAR. You said that isn't an issue in this case, it's 10%. 10% is huge. The FARs that I heard here were 2% or 5%.
One was 2%, yeah.
And that property was actually reduced. It was subdivided, or it was, the lot line was changed.
A&R'd.
Someone bought some land or
Well,
swapped
no,
it,
there was,
traded it.
the
Split it,
person
split the-
next to it owned that. So it's consistently, things are being built and lots are being changed, and then we still continue to build.
I just trying to understand, what is the concern with him putting a second floor over a property he already has possession of, and he's not expanding it towards your home or in
My
any
major
direction.
concerns are the small amount of property that he has and if he would be utilizing our property to build it. That was the first concern.
But
Second
I believe,
concern
I
was
hope
the
I've
wall.
alleviated those concerns, because
Yes.
legally he cannot do that.
And
Okay.
And
he's
you
not
are-
covering more ground space.
Right, I
Not,
understand
not
that.
1 inch of additional lot area is being reduced.
Okay.
He's utilizing a second floor. I mean,
Yes.
it really, we'd be out of here 15 minutes ago.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'll
don't
let
be,
you go.
don't be. I just wanted to explain to you that it's, one, a lot of this is out of our purview, where the wall is on your property, we don't have control over, or we couldn't say, oh, tear down that wall or anything. But to a person to come to us and say, we want to add a second floor or a portion of a second floor, it's a very legitimate case, and he does have a very small lot, so, allowing him to add 10% to his floor area ratio is not a big deal to common thought,
Yes,
guess.
I understand it. It is a 27% increase in square footage to his home. And I know the town thinks about having McMansions, and they don't want to have that, and you set up the FAR, so.
What's the square foot on that? So the total existing is 2,653.
Right.
Certainly not of McMansion size. When he adds on his 1,617 feet, he's going to be at 3,370. Oh, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. He's going to be at 3,370, which is a total of
First and second.
600 kind of feet to the whole thing. I mean, it's a bedroom, 600 feet, a bedroom and a bath.
It's a bedroom, bathroom, office.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Again,
I don't have concerns with him doing that. If I was his neighbor, I would not have concerns. I don't know if that's a.
as long as he doesn't mind being 3 feet from the road.
Well, he already is.
Right now, it's not developed.
It is developed. He has
No,
a
it's
single
not
story.
I think what she's saying in the future,
road
when they
isn't
develop.
Right.
Your
When-
future
just
plan
like
of the
you-
road.
So when you come to us and ask for a special
Yes, I
permit.
know. I hope you'll do
He can,
mine, too.
he's 3 feet from the road now. He's gonna, yes, add a second floor, but he's still gonna be 3 feet from the road when the road is built or whatever, is legally done by you.
Okay.
Well, he's 3 feet from the property line. Remember, this is a 50-foot right-of-way, so, and if you guys do develop it as a public way, you're gonna still have to meet subdivision standards, which is not gonna allow you to build it through,
You're gonna need
back
snow
roads.
storage and most likely landscaping protection for his home. So
Right.
the road won't be right at his property line. It would probably be 20 or 24 feet wide going down the middle of your property in a convenient way, but obviously there's no plans for this as of yet.
I'm willing to bet after he's done, you won't even notice it.
And if it's already 50 feet wide, it probably
He's just
won't
going straight
move.
up, a little bit even, just one story.
I mean, the distance from the road right now.
I can
I'm
see you're
pretty
nervous
concerned
about it,
about
but I
the,
don't
again,
think you're gonna
just
be overly bothered by it.
the utilization of our property to build it without an agreement was my first concern.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
second is
and-
the
and
wall.
very legitimate.
That the engineer took that into consideration and is assuring the structural integrity without that wall. And those are our major concerns.
Well, hopefully we've answered them. The engineer has spoken to the wall, or to the foundation of the home, which is really the critical point when adding a second floor, because the way it is right now is not putting you at any risk. So, I mean, I feel pretty good about allowing this to happen. Honestly, I think you might be nervous about it, but I don't know that your concerns are, necessary. Everyone has the right to their property and to not have trespassers. So when he builds it, or whoever he hires to build it does it, they're just gonna have to take that into account, that we cannot enter that property.
Well, I feel that this is like a unique situation because he has such a small amount of property and he has small setbacks. And I'm
Take
right
a ride down to
next to.
Somerville, I think it might feel differently.
Okay. Well, this is Chelmsford. That's why you have your rules and regulations and the setbacks.
Right,
And
right.
this
You're right.
house.
You're absolutely right.
This house has been, were small buildings that were attached together. And that structure that he's building on top of, I don't know what that structure was. It might have been an animal shelter or a chicken coop, I don't know. It probably doesn't matter to you now, but what I'm saying is there've been many modifications to the lot, and it gets bigger. This
That's the
house
way
be-
they used to do it, a little at a time.
Okay, I guess there's no stopping. Once you start building on a property and you start adjoining houses, then it's guaranteed you can make more additions. No, that's okay. I think they,
You're certainly welcome to speak.
He's a continual, he continually trespasses on the property, and when the construction comes, he's gonna do it again. I mean,
Again, I guess that's a matter for the police.
all right, and
We
you're
don't-
saying we should put
do
a
it.
fence. He should put a fence if he's gonna, you know, if he wants to not trespass. The boards can fall, people can fall. I mean, it's unrealistic it's unrealistic to think that he's not gonna trespass. He is.
And there are legal resources for you to pursue if he's violating the law.
If he's trespassing, you can call the police and have it enforced.
I
We
think-
wouldn't deal with it.
I think both parties should get together and agree on some stuff.
I couldn't agree more.
Couldn't agree
You
more.
can do that, but it has to be outside
Yeah,
of the board. The
we can't
board
dictate
can't
that.
dictate that.
Oh, that's what we were hoping.
No.
Yeah, we can't dictate that. Not in this particular.
I'm Andrew Domanian, and I also own Todd Lane. I think what my sister
Have your
was.
address, sir, as well?
I live at 7 Warwick Drive, Chelmsford, Mass. What we were trying to get across was, there's not really a lot of room for construction purposes, and I don't know if the homeowner's told his contractor that there's only 3 feet, 4.5 feet, and 5 feet where they can work.
I don't know either. I don't, well, honestly, what you're trying to do is make it our problem. It's not. We have to make a decision on whether this is okay. The function of building this falls on the owner and the contractor, and they should know the law. By now, he's certainly aware that you do not want him on your property. So, you know, you can do two things. You can say, use the property and put it back as you touched it. Stay off our property altogether, and you can enforce it with a police action if they do not. But I don't understand you know, what you hope to gain by, we're not gonna, because of your concerns, deny this. This could be denied for reasons, but because you say that he might show up on your property, it's not a valid reason to deny a special permit.
Well, I had one more point. I think that the walls are not sufficient to build up.
Are you an engineer?
No, I'm not.
I mean, I'm just telling you, I have a letter from an engineer that says they are. That's, I don't even argue with engineers, and I'm a pretty good builder.
Might not be sufficient to build up, and it may have to go all the way down to the slab before you can build up.
And this would be the purview of the building inspector.
All right.
He would review the plans, decide. He certainly will see the letter that the engineer took the time to write and did his job theoretically. They don't stamp things without
Okay,
assurance.
all right.
But that's why we require a
I mean,
stamp.
it may well be that they take the roof off and go, oh my gosh, all of this is rotted, and it does have to be removed. And that would be what a good builder would do. He'd say, oh, we have an additional work here because of rot, mold, it just isn't built right. And you would take it down and rebuild the first floor, which is within his rights, and then put a second floor on it, structurally sound. When Mr. Negron comes in and decides to review this, he'll see the work, and he'll go, this is not safe, or he'll approve it. And he signs it off and says, in my opinion, this building is built to code, structurally sound, and can be built.
So
there are
Jose-
protections.
So Jose's gonna be there when they lift the roof off?
I doubt it, no. He doesn't even like lift roofs, he's having coffee.
No, well, when would?
But he
when's
would
it-
inspect in what's called an open frame. You go in and you can see the work that's been done. What's there is not as important as what's done. So him or another building official would come and observe the work that's been done. They sign it and say the frame is complete, which allows you to go to the next step, would be insulating, actual, and moving farther down the road. But it won't be built without observation at all.
All right,
I
thank
don't think
you.
Jose's gonna hang around. He's got a lot to do. I think unless there's further questions, we can close the public hearing.
I'd like to close the public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
A second, all in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to approve the special permit, bylaw section 195-8E, subsection 2 for 39 Evergreen Street,
With the letters.
with all the letters written into it.
Second by Jamie, all in favor?
Aye.
I think when you're done, you'll be going, boy, we made quite a wave over something that isn't gonna, I believe, affect you dramatically.
Go have a
That's my
cup of
personal
coffee and have an
opinion.
open discussion.
Yeah, walk out together, go have a coffee,
Oh, dear.
and
I
work
don't
on it
think
as
it's the right
best you
forum to
can.
bring it up, but they did a lot of fuss when I was trying to build the deck as well. They always do that, so honestly, I don't want to
And
talk
I
to
think
them.
they're earnest, they're just nervous about it. I don't think they're looking to.
If it is genuine, I definitely
an
listen
issue.
to them, but when they raise such silly topics, then I'm like, okay.
We've closed the public hearing, sir, which means no more testimony.
Thank you.
Next.
Know that the planning board, they approved his deck the day that he applied, and they said that he had to adhere to the setbacks. I don't think he realizes that.
I did. Okay.
We have a
It's already
certified
verified.
plot plan, I believe.
know all the rules of construction and stuff.
He'll be all right.
Thank you all. Quick question on the fire thing. Do I need to apply for some special permit?
So you've been granted a special permit. There's a 21-day appeal period.
Yeah.
And after that appeal, you can go down to the building department. Is there does he need to go to, he doesn't need to go to the registry, right, for a special permit? Does that get recorded as well? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so after 21 days, you'll get notification and a document you take to the registry of deeds. They'll record that on your deed at your home, and then you can come down and show that to the building department, and they will issue a building permit.
Well, he can apply online for the building permit, Mr. Chairman. Once you're working with a contractor to do the work, yeah?
Yes.
Just work with your contractor, make sure that you guys submit, go on the town website, building department tab, and submit the plans, licenses, contract, all the good stuff, certified plot plan.
Sure.
And then we'll review regarding the smoke. The application will be sent to fire prevention for sign-off.
Okay.
And if they have any concern with the plans or the smokes, they will reach out to you directly.
Sure. Thank you.
And I will be in touch with you regarding the next steps for this component of the special permit.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Have a good night.
Good luck with it, sir.
Good luck.
We have one set of minutes. Did everyone get a chance to review them?
Yeah.
And I get a motion to approve the minutes unless there's corrections.
Did you find something?
I didn't find anything
good.
wrong. I never do. I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 11th, 2024.
I second.
Peter beat you to it.
Oh,
All
go
in
ahead,
favor?
Peter.
I just did one of these.
No, take it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
I make
Got a motion to adjourn?
You missed
By
it.
Jamie? Oh, I'm sorry. We're gonna go, you wanna go into the,
You missed it, under other business.
yeah, we did overlook that. My apologies.
I know Mahomes is
Everybody's a little
throwing
tired.
passes out
Out
there.
of
but,
practice. We have, what are the new ones?
You adjourned,
Additional
right?
dwelling units.
The accessory dwelling units?
Well,
Yes, so what was it?